Hello, this is Gordon Fessick from antiwindowscatalog.com, and this is part 4 of a series on safeguarding your Windows 8 Pro PC. All the hard work we did in the first 3 parts really come into their own right here, when we introduce a feature that's been in Windows since Windows 2000 Professional, software restriction policies. This is the real meat of the matter, and why I'm making us go through all of this. Because we are administering the computer, we'll log on as the admin account. The Pro editions of Windows, since Windows 2000, have come with a component called Group Policy. Group Policy really comes into its own in domain environments, but even on a single desktop computer, one can edit group policies, even though they only apply to a single computer or a single user, or in our case, more than one user since we have standard users. Let's bring up Group Policy Editor, which from the start and run is gpedit.msc. Don't forget the MSC. That's actually a Microsoft Management Console component. It's not a standalone application. Okay, there's a lot you can change in here, but for this purpose we are interested in going into the Windows settings and security settings, excuse me. There we are, software restriction policies. They are not turned on this machine. We need to enable this. Let's do a little bit of homework first. Designated file types. There is one item you do need to remove from here, otherwise each user's desktop shortcuts won't work. We're looking for the LNK file type. Let's remove that. We don't need that. Yes. There's one other type I'm looking for in here. I want to see if it's in here. Internet shortcut. If you keep this one in there, you're not going to be able to keep your website favorites working, regardless of what browser you use. So let's pull that one off too. Let's add a couple while we're at it. They already have common things like batch files and 32-bit scripts. But one handy one we want to put in here is, oh, they don't have PowerShell scripts. So we need to add PS1. And in case you have Java installed, let's put jar on here. If you have another runtime such as ActiveState's Perl, you could put PL in here to prevent running Perl scripts, along with anything else you might have in here, like JS for JavaScript, VBS for Visual Basic, although I think that's in here. No, it isn't, but we'll add it anyway. And we haven't actually turned these policies on yet. Let's go to Enforcement. What we want to do is we want to enable this for all standard users. We want to still be able to install software as an administrator, so we'll enable this for all users except local admins. And because some malware comes in as DLLs, which can get launched with the Run DLL 32 program, we'll include all software files, including DLLs. If you ever get signed software, signed by a noted software publisher, you could enforce certificate rules if you want, but like it says here, it's going to add a lot of processing overhead to your computer. Just for this basic set of software restriction policies, we'll ignore certificate rules for the moment. We could add a list of publishers if we do turn that on later. These are the basic ones. Right now, we've just got unrestricted for everybody. Here's where we fix that. There's a couple basic rules in here already. These rules say, okay, anything in the operating system folder is allowed to run. That includes operating system control panels, built-in applications like notepad.exe, even mmc.exe that lets us run this. And then the next obvious one is the program files folder. Both of these folders are normally read-only to standard users, so these are fine. I'm going to add one more. And I'm actually going to copy this from the program files path. Pardon me while I take this moment to key in this long thing. If you're on 64-bit Windows, there are two program files folders. There's one for... Oh, no thank you. We'll check on that later. No thank you. Yes, I do have Java installed on this machine. Call me evil if you want, but I'm going to keep Java on there. I'm not going to be running Java applets as an admin anyway. I'm certainly not going to be surfing as an admin. Okay, so let's add this. And we want it to be unrestricted so that anyone can run stuff in there. That simply extends the rule we already have for stuff in the 64-bit program files folder. Any 32-bit programs that get installed will also be allowed to run. Let's add a few don't run rules. There we go. We don't want to allow anything to run from the recycle bin. I have seen some software sneak its way into folders inside there. Go away. If your computer happens to have a temp folder in the root of your installation folder for Windows, include that as well. I'm going to include program data because this is actually the all users profile. Applications that need to share information between users will store their stuff in here. Just data belongs in here. No program files belong in here. So we'll tell Windows, don't allow any programs to run from this folder. And then I will add one more path rule, but I won't browse for it. I'll simply go user profile. And that way it covers any standard user account. User profile points to C:\users/ whatever the username you're logged on as. And this covers all of them. So if you create new standard users, this rule will automatically cover them. And I believe that's it for my little demonstration. Now for this to take effect, I need to restart the computer. So let me do so. Okay, log back on as our admin. Let's check something. Now, I specified in my software restriction policy to only disallow programs for non-admins. If I'm an admin, I want to be able to install software off of my DVD drive or off a USB stick or even off the downloads folder that I've done before. Remember, documents, public documents, downloads? I should be able to run one of these. And no problem. Even with my policies enabled as an admin, I can run this. Now let's switch accounts. Let's go back to the same place we were. Documents, public downloads. I'm not going to right click and do run as admin. I'm just going to try. Oh, get back here. Get back here. Let's just see what happens. Okay, it prompts me, but that's fine. What about one that doesn't normally prompt me? That's not good. Let's see if we can go fix that. Or let's try something fairly quick. Let's copy this handy, go to My Documents, try running it from here. This is the behavior I'm looking for. Your system administrator has blocked this program. And this will apply to any file type that you specify in the policy. And this is especially important with those bloody drive-by downloads, because the browser's cache is in the user's profile buried pretty deep. At least it is for Internet Explorer. For most other browsers, including Firefox, it'll keep the browser's cache in the user's profile as well. So if you had a drive-by exploit on Firefox, software restriction policies would catch that too. Now let's go fix that one public download thing that we ran into. Let's just simply switch users. No problem, right? This is Windows 8. We can switch between user accounts. So we want to add one more policy to our software restriction policies. That includes C users public, because that's where that public documents was. Okay, here we go. One more path rule. And we can even browse for it. Okay, C users public. Anything else in here we ought to add into? Default is also read only to regular users. Okay, so C users public will include our path. Let's see. I wonder what other gotchas we'll run into. If you go to test this yourself, nothing stops you from adding rules on the fly and then testing them. In fact, we don't even need to leave the admin account. We'll just quickly switch back. Now let's try that. Where were we? Public downloads. Aha, there we are. Okay, so nothing stops us from downloading things to later install. This is a fine setup. And heck, we can right-click Run as Admin, give it admin credentials, and install. But as the standard user, it won't work. One other possible download type you might have is the MSI type. In fact, I'll go grab one from my own homepage quickly. Okay, what's a nice small one? There we go, that'll do. Save as, and we'll save it to our public downloads like we have all of our others. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Alright. So we added I believe MSI is part of the default setup. Oh, okay. Even better. Smart screen. Let's turn the smart screen off and see what happens when we don't have smart screen on. There we go. Let's try this again. Okay. This is, again, normal behavior. I can't even right-click on this and pick Run as Administrator, but I will show you one handy-dandy little trick. I'll create a shortcut to it. I'll bring up its properties. And in the very beginning of it, I'll actually specify the program that runs it. In this case, it's msiexec.exe. And we want to do a /i, and then the shortcut will no longer point to the Windows installer file. It'll point to the Windows installer application, which will then run this. Now that it's pointing to an executable, though, I should be able to right-click and go Run as Administrator, just like that. So I can then proceed to install this download that I do trust because, hey, I put this package together myself years ago. I'll just cancel it for the moment, though. That is basic software restriction policies. If I were to go and download something off the net as a standard user, it will not run. If I browse some site and it contains a booby trap that tries to copy a file into either my browser cache or my user profile or the all users profile, which was program data, or the recycle bin if it felt really brave, none of those locations would allow the thing to run. I'll do one of my favorite examples. Yeah, free download. Not so free when it actually goes to do any work. I used to try to prevent running programs as standard users using file system permissions. These guys managed to work around it. But that's not going to work now. Nice try. Look at that path. See users, username, app data, local Microsoft Windows, temporary internet files, etc., etc., etc. Blocked. So, no more drive-by downloads. That is the end of part 4. In part 5, or perhaps a later part, I will take a look at advanced software restriction policies, where we not only block folders explicitly, but we tell the operating system to block anything but folders we specify, and that will include DVD drives and USB devices. And they'll still allow the admin to run them. Catch you next time.